There are a lot of cards and this is our job for today.
Right. I've got a red square.
You need to stand out, and to stand out you should be creative.
You build the culture of excellence.
We have to show to the whole world that our industry also deserves to win such awards. Hi, my name is Valentina Bagniya and I'm Chief Marketing Officer at SOFTSWISS. Today here with me is Robin Harrison, Global Content Director at Clarion Gaming.
Thank you very much, Valentina, and hello everybody. It's great to be here with you in Warsaw. I see on the table in front of me, we've got a lot of cards. What are we doing here today?
Oh yeah, you're right. There are a lot of cards and this is our job for today, because on these cards there are some very interesting statements about iGaming, and we have to discuss it, challenge it, and to say generally what do we think, agree or not agree.
Do you want to draw the first card?
Okay, I will be the first. Oh my god, this is my favorite.
Yeah?
Of course it's about marketing. Marketing is about brands and creativity, not data. Oh, it's very interesting, you know. I see here two things, brands and creativity, and then after that, not data. Generally, you know, I think that marketing, of course, always about data, because now creativity can be successful without proper analysis before creating something. But on the other hand, I'm absolutely sure that pure data that is not supported by creative work and of course is not supported by brands means nothing, because numbers super important, absolutely important. Marketing cannot exist without numbers, but marketing a successful product cannot perform without brands and meaning behind these brands. What do you think about that?
I mean, I generally agree with you, and I think you kind of see that in how marketing in the gambling industry has evolved. People want to understand its impact and its reach. You know, you see that you know, from the operator side, based on campaigns. It's no longer just about creating something really unique and engaging and striking. It's about thinking about who that's going to reach and how that's going to reach. And obviously that feels like a natural evolution of the industry.
Absolutely, yeah, right.
So I don't want to sound like I'm sitting on the fence, but I think the two things have to go in tandem. I mean, I totally agree with you. Data is incredibly powerful, but if you're not using something, you know, you're not using the creativity and the kind of brand positioning and power to bring the people in, it's like the two things that they have to go hand in hand these days.
Right. I absolutely agree with you, because you know what I'm thinking about right now, that data analytical job is very important, but you know, if you don't create meaningful brands, if you don't create creative campaigns that follow the results of your analysis, your brand just will not be visible, because there are so many noise around in any industry and in iGaming as well. So you need to stand out, and to stand out you should be creative, but of course based on the data. Yeah,
of course, you know, as long as you've got that data to validate the direction, that kind of creates a platform for you to be creative.
Okay, good, I think.
My turn.
Yeah.
Right. I've got a red square.
And I guess we have a special red box for you, Robin, here. So this is your card, your box, and you should be brave enough to open this box.
Right, we'll open this box. I'll turn it towards the camera. Oh my goodness. This is incredible. I'm going to have to hold this up for the camera.
Well, what a nice sweater.
Wow.
Are you going to change your black one to red one or stay like that? Probably not, because our operator will not be happy, definitely, about that.
No, for continuity's sake, I will hold off from putting it on, but thank you so much. I love it.
You're welcome. And I hope to see your picture wearing this sweater.
Oh yeah. I don't think the marketing team would allow me to get away with not doing that.
It looks like this is my turn again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great example of creative campaigns and innovative branding. I love it.
Okay, let's move on. Again about brand. I don't know what is going on. Why all these cards about branding are on my side and probably on your side just only gifts, gift cards. Okay, a strong B2B brand is built through experience, not design. I'm absolutely sure that this is very much like that, but on the other hand, design is also very important because experience is a key thing, but you know, this is like a basic product. Basic product should create valuable experience because if your product doesn't create experience, this product cannot exist in the market. This product just will lose to competitors. But design is also very meaningful because design is something about distinctiveness, I guess. It's about branding, it's about creating something that really matters and something that makes you stand out again.
So I would say that it really has to be underpinned by the kind of the ethos of the company and what the product sets out to do. That feels to me like the starting point, and then you build the experience, you build the design around that. You know, I think that's really kind of key. You know, it's like there needs to be, you know, the kind of the positioning that you kind of build around. Design, I think, is incredibly important. You know, I think, especially in our industry, there's a lot of colours, there's a lot of noise out there. You need to find something that just kind of gives you really a kind of edge, you know, because it's quite easy to get lost. And I think one of the things that I always am really impressed by is when you see companies that just sort of go in the opposite direction to what they see out there. You know, because that's, even if you go down to the level of like games, like slots, the ones that suddenly become big hits are the ones that don't look like all the others. You know, there's a game that's a hit, then you see about 7 or 8 copycats over the next year, but they're never the hits. It's the one that doesn't look like that one, doesn't feel like that one. That's the exciting thing. So it's design, it's experience, but it's also underpinned by that ethos and that desire to do something different.
Yeah, right. Your turn. I hope it's not a box.
It's not another box. Oh, wow, this is an interesting one. So, iGaming leaders don't actually read industry articles. They get information directly from conferences and personal networks.
Tricky question.
Yeah, that's it. So I've actually it's actually something that I think about because obviously, you know, it's like a big part of my job is looking after media brands. And, you know, we're writing for that kind of leadership audience. And I think what these kind of cohorts read has evolved over time. I think they're not the kind of people that want just news. They don't want to know what's happening. I mean, I think quite a lot of the time what is kind of broken by, you know, kind of media, there's a lot of people in the industry that know that thing already, you know. And so really, and part of that is, you know, these people are time poor. They're very busy, you know, they don't have time to go through kind of like daily news. You know, they'll glance at stuff, people will send them stuff and share stuff with them, which is part of kind of bringing in that kind of network, that personal network. But they are sharing content. And I mean, anecdotally speaking, what I kind of see is kind of C-suite leaders, they're not interested in a subject until they are. And then they want to read about it in a, you know, in a kind of like voraciously, they want to read loads of stuff about it. So what I see as effective for that kind of audience, it's not telling them what happened. It's telling them why it happened and what happens next. It's giving them angles. You know, it's all very well to tell them this thing happened and it's like, great. But ultimately, you need to provide something deeper to engage that audience, because otherwise you risk losing them to that network.
I see. I agree with you because, of course, network conferences and other things like that, they're important because it's an easy way to share the information. To share news, maybe some gossips, I don't know. But if you want to dive deeper, if you want to see the real trends, predictions, understanding of why something is happening right now in the industry, you need to get information, analytical reports, deep analysis of what is happening. And this is type of content that can be very interesting to such type of the audience. I personally believe I read such articles where I can see something that really explain me the situation, not give me the information, because I can get information from anywhere, but explain me or show me a perspective, a new perspective of something that is happening right now. So I believe that content and articles, they are very important, and they will not lose in their, I would say, popularity, but they should be a bit more deeper than they can be right now. And personally, what do you read? What do you think insightful in our industry or around our industry?
Obviously, I've got to say iGamingbusiness.com and ggbmagazine.com. We do put a focus on that more kind of deeper analytical content. In terms of other things kind of around the industry I read, I find reports quite interesting. Variable but interesting. I read quite a lot of, generally the kind of, the investment banks. I'm always interested in their steer. I think some of the Substack writers, there's this growing trend of, quite veteran journalists doing really good work and analysis. And these are people that I really look up to. Me personally, as kind of, someone who's been in the industry a long time, the two people that I've always really looked up to as journalists are a guy called Scott Longley and a guy in the States called Howard Stutz. I think they're phenomenal journalists, and I think there's other good, kind of really experienced people out there. For example, my colleague Steve Carter, one of the first people that, he showed me to my desk at my first job in the industry. Great, deep understanding. One of my old colleagues, Jill Dawson, I think is an excellent journalist. One of the things that I'm quite proud of at Clarion is I think we've got a really good team of writers whose work I enjoy reading. It's like, I'm going to list them. There's, in the US, led by Adam Candy, there's Frank Legato, just absolute authority in slots. There's a guy called Jess Marquez, outstanding, kind of journalist. Investigative reporter Matt Rebeltowski, really good legislative reporter called Pat Evans, and then in the UK side, we've got Nicole Macedo leads that team. We've got a guy called Kyle Goldsmith, deep understanding of Latin America. We've got Marjorie Preston, who looks after Asia, and we've got kind of like a network, people like Mohammed Cohen, Martin Bjork, Imogen Goodman, a guy called Rob Fletcher. And I think I'm quite proud that, pulling together this team of people that are really kind of engaged and really care about the industry. They want to know what's going on. They're not interested in, they're going to be less interested in what is going to be reported everywhere. They want to try and get under the skin of something. It's really what they kind of want to do is the so what. That's kind of the people that I kind of, enjoy reading and look up to.
But you gave a very long list of people who are really professional in their job. Like a journalist in our industry, and for me it sounds very promising. Because when I came to the industry 5 years ago, it seems to me that our iGaming media, they are only about news and selling their banner places, not about analytical work. And what you said right now sounds to me perfect, because it means that industry is changing and becoming more and more mature, because when the industry has the need to such type of analytical work, analytical reading, it creates a space for growing and developing of such people. This is really great, a good sign of the fact that industry is getting more and more mature. So it's nice. And you know what? I think we really have to make a list of such people who are writing analytical reports in the industry, just to make people to read it, or just to go to IGB websites.
You can go to iGamingbusiness.com.
iGamingbusiness.
Sorry, shamelessly plugging my own brands. I mean, I do agree with you. I mean, I think iGaming has always had a surprisingly large kind of media ecosystem around it. And you know, obviously I mentioned people that I've either worked with or that I look up to. There are other great, you know, kind of sites out there. I think we're all doing kind of different things. So I think we kind of coexist in the ecosystem. You know, I kind of care about what my team does and what we're building rather than what, you know, our competitors are doing, you know, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I do think that especially as, you know, we're seeing kind of, well, I suppose kind of like the rise of like answer engine as well, you know, like these things are looking for, you know, high quality authoritative content. And that really kind of, I think, forces kind of industry journalists to up their game. You know, it's not just enough to have a load of news. It's really, you need to get under the skin of the industry, you know, because ultimately we're providing a service to the industry. You know, similar to SOFTSWISS, you guys are providing technology, we're providing information.
Absolutely, yeah. So honestly, I forgot whose turn is right now, mine or yours? Mine, okay. So, focusing marketing on one geo delivers higher profit than aggressive multi-market expansion. Okay. You know, there was a mathematician, Igor Ansov. He was one of those type of mathematician who ended in a strategic job. I mean, he became one of the theoretic of strategic management, and he developed the matrix. It's called Ansov matrix. And definitely, according this matrix, Ansov matrix, to stay and to focus your efforts on one geo is more promising, because when you go to new market, the risk of failure is growing. So if we take into account his theory, of course it's better to stay on one geo and develop your brand on one geo. But the opportunity to get profit from one geo is limited, unfortunately limited. Yeah. So if you want to develop your brand, if you want to expand, if you want to grow as a company, as a business, of course you have to evaluate risk and move forward and go to other countries, other geos, and to expand your brand. And I think this is the only right answer right now. But of course, before you have to evaluate your risks.
Yeah, I mean, so looking at it from an industry context, it's an interesting question because it feels like there's a bit of a kind of, what would I call it? Maybe a bit of a kind of shifting of the top tier. There's a few operators that are really emerging as challenger brands. Looking at these companies, what it feels like they've done particularly well at is they started out a single market operator. And that was generally, it could have been Greece, it could have been Romania, these kind of markets. And they built up leading unassailable positions, and then they expanded internationally. And that's really, that home turf created the springboard that allowed them to become brands that, you know, that me and my team look at as these are potential next top tier companies, you know. And so I think it's actually quite, it's almost, how would I phrase it? There's a period of time where that single market focus essentially builds the foundations for everything else you want to do. That does come with risk, obviously. Say there's you know, a kind of change in government policy, you know, tightening regulations, higher tax rate. If you're over-indexed in that market, it might, you know, your legs might be kicked out from under you, you know, if you don't have the kind of profits in that home turf to then fund the expansion overseas. But the challenge is to avoid overextending, because I think what we've seen in the industry in recent years is some brands trying to be too aggressive or trying to maybe be a bit too speculative in the moves that they made. And when things become trickier for operators, I mean, I think we can all agree that one of the major trends of next year is how, you know, these kind of onshore businesses are going to essentially have to do more with less. You know, when conditions become more difficult, these companies are going to struggle. So it's a lot about timing, it feels.
You know, I think that now our industry is still growing. And a few years ago, the pace of growth was even higher than now. So now we are getting slower and slower and slower. And I also think that was the factor that made some of the companies to expand more aggressive, because their expectations were high. And probably their strategy and risk assessment was not that proper. And this can lead to some loss, for example, in future because of some changes that are happening. So I understand your point, but I'm absolutely agree with the thing that you said, that of course to start to expand, you need to build a foundation. You need to have something to invest into your aggressive growth. And this is not only money, this is also expertise and understanding of other market and regulations, because diversification is important. You cannot put all balls in the one basket because something can happen with this basket. But I guess strategic planning, risk assessment are essential if you want to expand, especially to go to other geos different from the one you're working in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also by having that kind of foundation, you build the culture of excellence. Like, I think the best example to pick out here is Flutter. You know, Flutter essentially has a proposition, a way of doing things, and they essentially export that model and then complement it with local expertise. I think some of the big brands in Brazil, you know, the other brands are doing that as well. It's like you're finding the local experts and then you're arming them with all the tools and the processes that you've developed, and they can localize it. So then you create that's how you create that global proposition.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, what you said, model. Your turn now.
Right. I'm going to pick this card. Ooh. Are iGaming reports becoming another form of content marketing rather than real research?
Oh, I like this question.
So this is an interesting one because we both do reports. You know, you guys released iGaming Trends a few weeks ago. We do market intelligence reports. And you know, we talked about it yesterday. You are seeing a lot more reports coming to market. And with that many reports, there is going to be a wide variation in quality and output. I mean, from my perspective, reports are a time commitment to read. Some of ours run to, you know, they're very long. Like they run 20, 30 pages. It can only be that long if it provides genuine value. And that is kind of it can be a challenge. You need to have something that makes it distinct. You know, for example, a few years ago, maybe 21, 22, we did some market reports. And they were quite short. You know, I think we did one in Brazil when we thought there was going to be movement about 3 years before anything actually happened. And I think we did one in Ontario. I think Brazil did okay, Ontario did really well. It was timed around the market opening. But I look back on them and, you know, they're fine. But I think what we've started to think about is how do we do something that competes with, you know, reports in any industry? Like, what is a kind of like proper like briefing document, you know, genuine market intelligence, position papers. So you guys work with Kantar and iGaming Trends, and I think that's the sort of quality that you need to aspire to with a report. You know, I think the white paper format, for the most part, like we see a lot of kind of like from across the industry, kind of like white paper format style things. I mean, that works for a government briefing. I don't think it works for an industry report. I think you need to get really kind of granular and rich and offer something different. There needs to be something in that report that they absolutely can't get anywhere or that would take them a long time to get. You know, like we did a report on Brazil and we spent a long time on it. You know, and also it's who's writing it. I mean, I think for the industry, you kind of want people with different perspectives working in these things, whether they come from a different sector, whether they come from technology, because they're going to look at it with new eyes and they're going to treat it in a way where it's going to be accessible enough for someone who doesn't know anything about it in the industry, but deep enough for someone in the industry that needs to get a handle on it. But I'm keen to hear your thoughts. I mean, do you feel, in fact, let me phrase that as a question, if that's okay. So when you guys release iGaming Trends, I mean, like, what's the kind of core, you know, kind of like ethos of doing that? Is it to inform the industry? Is it to engage specific parts of the industry? Like, how do you treat reports?
Speaking of iGaming Trends, our key intent was to give proper information about the industry to industry leaders and to participants of the industry. And the idea of iGaming Trends came to us maybe in 2021. And this idea was born because, for example, when I came to the industry and started to work on my first marketing strategy for SOFTSWISS, it was extremely hard for me to gather proper information about the industry, to understand what works, what doesn't work, what should I do, what trends are in this industry. Because I came from FMCG industry, and you know, every year when we were working on our business plan for the next year, the key things we read all possible trends to understand our consumers' behavior patterns for the next year. Because based on this, we could do our own predictions and plan. So for me, it was very, very frustrating, I would say, when I came here to iGaming, and I understood that there are so many fragmented information, but it's not gathered together in one report. So, frankly speaking, the idea of iGaming Trends from SOFTSWISS was just to give the industry a report where you can get as much as possible information about the industry and predictions for the next year. So this was the idea, and we continue to work on this idea for already 5. Our next report will be 5th report, so we did just 4. And what I see right now is that many other companies, our competitors, not only our competitors, they found these iGaming Trends, I guess, useful and started to create something very similar. But, you know, the only question I have, of course, it's very nice that they're working, that they notice what we did, but does our industry need so many iGaming Trends, you know?
Yeah.
Because maybe we can unite our efforts, maybe we can hire more analytical agencies, maybe we can look from the other side to our industry and to create something even more valuable for the industry. Because, you know, as I said, our core idea was content as marketing of value. We wanted to give value to the industry, not get leads. Really, this came after. Absolutely like that. But what I see right now, that content is becoming marketing of ego, you know, when you just want to show something. And I'm not sure that this is a good strategy.
No, I mean, I think to an extent content is at risk of becoming commoditized. Like, as I say, you know, we've been doing market reports of some form for probably around the same time as you guys. 2020, 2021 was when we we're kind of like attempting them. You know, they've iterated a lot, and I do agree with you. It's in some way it's almost kind of, you feel kind of slightly validated to see people doing similar things, but at the same time it's frustrating because it just becomes more fragmented. You know, but you know, everyone's got to, you know, let's face it, we've all got to make a living, you know.
Right. Yeah, I agree. But what I really still see is that our industry needs proper content, and we will continue to invest in our iGaming Trends, and we will continue to invite more and more analytical agencies to help us to create better and better product, because I'm absolutely sure that this thing will never lose its value for the industry. The value only will continue to grow. And our key task is to make the report better and more valuable, to give to people in the industry more valuable information. My card.
Yep, the second last one.
Yeah, finally. Strong content equals strong sales. You know, content in B2B marketing is very important because content can bring good leads. Yeah. But product is very important as well. We discussed it just recently. So content is something that can support good and strong sales, but without good product, it's impossible to move forward in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, when you talk about strong content, especially when it comes to, kind of like marketing as you do or media as I do it, it's very subjective. What some people might think is strong, others might think, what the hell is that? Do you know what I mean? So I think it's an ecosystem, isn't it? Or it's like a value chain. It's these things all need to interlink and work in tandem.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Your
Final one.
Yeah. Oh, we even can applaud to each other. We finally came to the final card.
The last one, we got there. Well, industry awards are just PR with no commercial value. I was just thinking of that Jose Mourinho line, I prefer not to speak, if I speak I get into trouble. So at Clarion, the only awards that we do currently, with the full ceremony, are the IGB Affiliate Awards. And that is one where it's really down to Steve Carter, who kind of like oversees that process. Steve he's a really big believer in the integrity of those awards, and the work that he puts in to do that, I think, makes it very hard to agree with this statement. And also some other awards run in the industry, having worked for those companies, I've seen the work that goes into that. I've seen early on in my career someone crying in the office when they were trying to get all the kind of collate and order all these nominations into a coherent judging pack. So I think there are a lot of awards out there where there is care, there is commitment, and there is a huge amount of effort that goes into putting these together. Having said that, and I think there are other awards where maybe that same level of care and attention isn't put in there. I'm not going to name anyone because I don't think that's fair. People do awards for different reasons, but I'd be really interested to get your perspective, because SOFTSWISS is obviously a company that enters these awards. It's like putting together the rationale and why the company is worthy of it. That takes a lot of time. That takes there's a big time commitment for you guys. So do you see it as a PR exercise? Do you see it as kind of almost a way of kind of it's like a form of external validation for your team? Because even just to say we believe in what you've done to the extent that we think it's the best example of that in the industry.
Answering this question, I think that awards is PR, definitely. We do it for PR reasons, first of all. But PR creates value. Really, it shows the value of our brand to the industry, and value, it creates trust. And trust helps us to sell. So, of course, awards are about PR, but this PR helps us to grow our brand and to grow our sales. So awards, they're very important. Of course, the awards can be different, and different ways of evaluation, different ways of approach, different judges, but still, it's important PR instruments. And for some of our colleagues and for our marketing department, Of course, awards is also a way to validate what we are doing. For example, if we as a marketing team get award for best marketing team in the industry, we believe that. We really think that we are the best marketing team in the industry because this award was given by someone who we trust and who we can rely on their opinion we can rely, because we know the judges, we know how these people do the evaluation process, how do they come to their conclusion, so we have our confidence of being sure that this award is a pure validation of our job. But in the end, still we use all this information for our PR that can help us to sell our products and brand in the end.
No, I think that's very fair to say. And it's an interesting one because it's a bit like reports. There's a lot of award ceremonies. I mean, I'd be interested in putting you on the spot a bit here. What do you think of as the industry standard for awards?
Oh my God!
What is your Oscars? Your gaming Oscars?
I would say our marketing Oscar, but it's not industry, it's marketing industry.
No, but this is, I think that's interesting.
For me, this is my Oscar, and I still don't have it, and I'm planning to get it. And my team is planning to get it. So yes, Cannes Lions is our Oscar, and we are planning to get it. I
mean, I love that. It's like, because I think it's always, because obviously we have that at an industry level, but I love when, you know, they like looking beyond that, because I think because this industry is quite young, there's still, and because, you know, like it's like gambling is a motive for a lot of people. People are almost kind of a bit apologetic, and it's like I really want to see that happen. Like, you know, industry efforts, industry technology, industry marketing campaigns, industry figures being recognised. You know, rather than being treated with suspicion because we're gambling, you know, it's like, and so I mean, like, I absolutely admire that going after a Cannes Lion.
Yeah, you're right, because we're already working on that, and I know that it's very hard for us as a company to get into that. I mean, even to be shortlisted because of the industry. But we definitely will do that. We have to show to the whole world that our industry also deserves to win such awards as Cannes Lions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.